Hey, my Legion, how y'all doing today? Here today for a movie review, Peabody and Sherman, and I saw it on Netflix last night. Actually, late last night, like around 5 in the morning. And I grew up with the J. Ward cartoons because I was born '68, and they showed them. I remember seeing them when I was like 3, 4, 5, 6, and on up. And then when I was in Fort Bragg, Disney re-released, or Buena Vista Home Entertainment, which is Disney, re-released a whole bunch of like 12 or 13 volumes of Rocky and Bullwinkle, and it had like artwork on there, and it was like their take on the artwork, like Le Grand Moose. I remember I bought that one, and then my friend made copies of those. That's back when you'd have two VCRs and you make copies and stuff, and I had a whole bunch of those. It was a great resurgence and very entertaining, and I love Mr. Peabody Sherman. It was Peabody's Improbable History, and when they brought out a kid-friendly, a movie version of that, computer animated version, I looked at it, I thought maybe it would be a little too cutesy for its own good, but yeah, I was pleasantly surprised. I really enjoyed it because it was really hip back then, and this one pretty much involves their adventures in a Wayback Machine. Also, it talks about the dog Mr. Peabody adopting Sherman when he found him as a baby. And it talks about his going back to school, and there was this girl named Penny that was bullying him, and he ended up biting her. And this one girl wanted to take him away from Mr. Peabody. And it talks somewhat about parenting, somewhat. And she invites he invites the parents of the girl over there, and he wants to get resolved. He has this whole thing, all this stuff, man. He knows so much. He has this wonderful culinary spread prepared for them. And then, he was playing, he could do anything. And the father was asked to play different music. He said, I like rock and roll. And he did some Jimi Hendrix Purple Haze, which I thought was really cool. And of course, he told Sherman, he says, do not show Penny the Wayback Machine. Of course, he does. And they get into a whole bunch of mischief after that. It's really good. I really enjoyed it. Very entertaining. And then the humor is funny. It's not dumbed down. Just for like a kid show with like stuff that's like lukewarm comedy, but no, it has really good humor for it because the filmmakers were smart enough to know that both grown-ups and kids would see this because grown-ups remember that as their youth, and then they'd want to take their kids to see it. So some of the humor might fly over the heads of the kids, and the adults might get nothing bad or nothing like that. But very entertaining. I really enjoyed this, and the action worked out really well. It really was. Can say it worked really well. It told itself. It played out very well because sometimes in some of the kids movies, especially the computer animated kids movies, which are or family films, which are so oversaturated now, they just have a bunch of kinetic energy done that up to anything. Like a good example was Horton Hears the Who. I remember seeing that, which was about 30 or 40 minutes worth of material stretched to about an hour and a half. It was like a whole bunch of nothing. I mean, except for what story they had. I remember taking my niece and nephew to see it a long time ago at the Dollar Theater. It was okay, but I mean, it's just stretched stuff. Or a Shark Tale, which is one of the worst ones I've ever seen. I like shark movies, but I hated the Shark Tale. Not funny whatsoever. This one had lots of great humor. Great voice work, especially by Patrick Warburton, who's, you might remember him, Joe, on Family Guy, and he does so much other stuff. His character in there is perfect. And they animated, he's one of the Trojan soldiers, and then the character in the movie is perfectly animated. His voice is perfect. It's very entertaining. And Mel Brooks does the voice of Albert Einstein. He's only on for a little bit, but this is a very good movie. I really enjoyed it. I think you and your kids, or I mean anyone. I mean, it doesn't have you don't have to have kids to watch it, but I don't have kids. I watched it. I enjoyed it. My dad, of course, was sleeping, but I thought it was very entertaining. I'd give this probably a 9.5 out of 10 for Peabody Sherman. I thought when I originally saw the commercial, I said, boy, I hope they don't dumb it down. They didn't. I mean, it might be a little bit cutesy, maybe a little bit sentimental in some parts, but it worked really well. I really enjoyed it. I think you will too. So until next time, please take care, my Legion.